For now, though, let's hear from Justin Fields, the second-year quarterback, who they finally are using as a runner, not just when the pass play breaks down.
Not just a scrambler. Real design runs. Exactly, Mike. I think we got to hit that.
Runs.
Right.
Here he is talking about it, and we'll talk more about the details on the other side.
I thought they were good. I thought it, brought a whole different element to our offense. So, I think we executed that well, and there were definitely some explosives in that design runs for sure. Kind of my mindset going in, I wasn't trying to take, many big hits. So I knew I had, more design runs this game. So I knew I was going to have to run the ball a little bit more. So, just being able to last, the entire game was big for sure.
It wasn't like Thursday night, but he still took some big hits.
There you go, Mike.
Show you one of them at some point, but there it is.
Yeah.
That's what Justin Fields can do. So do it. That's coaching. Figure out what your players do well and do it. It sounds difficult, or it sounds easy. Let me try that again. It's difficult to make the statement come out right. It sounds easy, but for some coaches, it's so difficult because it means they have to set aside their system, their plan, their ego. Screw that. I got a player who can run the ball effectively from the quarterback position. I'm going to embrace it, not shy away from it.
Exactly right. And in a team that, again, right now is built around the run game. I mean, you could say what you want, and you talked about it. The future can be bright there because they got some basics of the football bylaws to go, there's some things here to build around. The offensive line, I mean, again, they run the ball just about on anybody. They maul everybody. I did not think they would maul the New England Patriots the way they did last night. But it's a big, overpowering group. And then, Mike, you're right. And then you add the two-headed monster running back. Montgomery and Herbert are really good. And then you add in now the Justin Fields design quarterback runs. Yeah, it gives them something to build off. It makes, Mike, what we always talk about. It makes a defense go, wait, they do something elite. And even though now I want to play this defense, I have to bend what I want to do because they pose some problems with the run game and the quarterback run design. And now it starts to open up everything else. Then it opens up the normal run game because now there's an extra guy we're waiting for Justin Fields. And then the play action pass and then, just the regular rollouts and everything starts to flow together. That to me was the thing that jumped out, and I think we're both talking about here, where there was a flow to the offense for the first time. We saw little parts of it in the Washington game on Thursday night where we had some moments where Justin Fields looks pretty good here, and that was a good drive and some nice plays. There was a smattering of it. Last night, we saw real consistency. And then, hey, moving the ball, getting some mojo going, hey, you got me some easy completions. Then he starts throwing, more high level in the pocket passes because now he's feeling good. And now it's, hey, everything's feeling good. And, hey, it's an all-out blitz, and here's a screen to the running back, and he runs for a touchdown. They had answers for everything last night, and I think it was because they were the aggressor of the week off, the 11 days like you talked about, of self-scouting thyself, and they made the Patriots kind of bend to how they were playing in the game and made them adjust. And that's where I can't give them enough credit on both sides of the ball. Not only was Justin Fields phenomenal and really played one of the best games I've seen him play, but also the defense and Eberflus and what they did to the Patriots on that side of the ball. It was all very impressive. Special teams was good. So it was a big-time win for the Bears last night.
And here's where, in hindsight, we both should have, I think, realized there was a possibility this was going to happen. We didn't give the Bears enough credit to spot it and do it and embrace the running ability of Justin Fields, not as a scrambler, but as a guy who could take the ball in a design capacity. The Patriots kind of struggle against
that. Yeah, I know.
Going all the way back to 2012, the Colin Kaepernick night, you were there, I assume. That was your window, right?
I was there.
Sunday night when the 49ers came to town and Kaepernick
jumped
ran
out
all
on
over
him. Right.
And then the Patriots came back, and then the 49ers held it together and still got the win.
Right.
Think back to week 3 when Mac Jones suffered the ankle injury. And we'll talk all about the quarterback situation in New England coming up. But Lamar Jackson that day had 100-plus rushing yards against the New England Patriots. So I guess it didn't flicker on my radar screen because the last time we saw the Bears, they weren't using Justin Fields.
That's exactly
this way.
Right.
So credit to them. They realized, hey, we're playing a team that struggles against mobile quarterbacks. Let's do what it's going to take to win this game. And that's what the difference can be when you treat a regular season game like a postseason game, and you forget about whatever comes after it. And that may be the payback here, Chris. They may go into Dallas, and they may not be ready, and it may not matter against Michael Parsons and company. And they got less time to get ready for that one because they haven't been thinking about it. The Cowboys were able to spend Monday thinking about the Bears. But we got to get this win. We're in prime time again. We fought and we couldn't get it against the Commanders, and we're going to do everything we can. We're treating this like a playoff game, and we're going to go all in to beat the Patriots, and it worked. Now the challenge is bringing that same mindset on a regular basis. It's like the kid that works really hard and studies and get an A on a test. Your parents expect you to bring more A's home. We're going to expect the Bears to bring more wins home after what they did last night, and if they don't, what they did last night is going to be forgotten pretty quick.
I mean, I'd be shocked if they don't continue it. We've had this conversation all the time. What's the point of drafting some of these running quarterbacks if you don't use them and run them? I don't understand that either. And for a guy like Justin Fields, where, hey, the drop back pass game and all that's kind of a little all over the place all year long, right? This, to me, not only is the best thing for your football team, gives you some creativity, it fits within the mold of how you want to play anyways, run the ball, control the clock. Matt Eberflus calls all these cool zone coverages and defense and has people all in the right spots. But also, it buys time and gives people hope in the Justin Fields conversation, or the people that, again, are trying to move him along. Early in the year when they were kind of trying to play it basic and, hey, we're just going to drop back and keep it, simple in the pass game, they weren't doing him any justice either. And really, they're not doing themselves any justice, because then there's no positive signs here. And then the fan base in Chicago, as you know, because I went in and did a few things in Chicago too, where they're going, wait, this looks horrible. What the hell's going on? Now you build on something positive to where the team, the fans can all look at it and go, look, like you said, look at what this guy can do with quarterback design runs. It gives him confidence. It gives the team confidence. It backs off the media and the fans, and it buys him more time, too, to go, hey, here's positives while we work on, polishing up the passing game and the things that we know he needs work on in that department. And that's where I think it's another, must here as we go forward. He just has to protect himself. He still takes too many hits, but damn, he's talented when he runs that ball.
When you don't use a quarterback in a way that his skill set would suggest, especially a young quarterback when it's a new regime that didn't draft him, that's trying to separate from the mistakes of the old regime, people start to wonder, do they really want this guy? Are they just trying to set up an opportunity to move on from Justin Fields and get a guy that better fits what they want to do? And credit to Matt Eberflus and Luke Getsy for saying, look, we got this incredible lump of clay that we're not molding it our way. We have to change us, not him.
Yeah.
We have to do things that help us get more out of Justin Fields.
That's right.
That's good for Justin Fields. This is the conversation that's been coming up more and more often recently, trying to figure out what the hell happened to Geno Smith and why he's suddenly so great now. When you are thrust into it as a starting quarterback at a young age, if you don't get the right support, the right coaching, the right everything, and you wash out, it's not like somebody's going to be waiting to say, oh, we need that guy who failed in the other place. You're done. You're done. You got to go the roundabout, circuitous journey to even get a chance again like Geno Smith did.
Yeah.
And so they're doing Justin Fields a great service. They made the investment in him, and now they have to recognize we have to use him in a way that is effective. And they are. And again, like you said, he's got to stay healthy. And, hey, Chris, I'm not an advocate for throwing roughing the passer flags willy-nilly, but there was one last night that just caused me to conclude, I don't know what the hell roughing the passer is, and I don't know what it isn't. Because he got Malachi crunched by a couple of guys.
On the screen pass, touchdown.
And it sure as hell looked like it was roughing the passer.
Well,
and
I mean, it was
I don't know.
aggressive.
When in doubt, whip it out. There was no whipping it out on that one when he got hit harder than we've seen plenty of guys who drew roughing the passer fouls get hit.
I think you can classify that under, and again, I know this doesn't always hold true. We see some of the studly quarterbacks get some bad calls on them too, but for the most part, I do think there's a difference in what we're talking about. You agree. I know this. I think Tony Dungy agrees because I hear, the studs, the real physical studs of the quarterback positions, just for some reason, it's like the refs go, well, he's built like a Greek god. He could take that hit. And then it's, Matt Ryan or Tom Brady, and they go, well, he's a little old and frail, so I need to call it. And that's their fault for being old and frail. That's not that shouldn't determine it. So that's where I think you and I are talking about here. We've had too many plays over the years, whether it's Lamar Jackson, Cam Newton, Josh Allen, quarterbacks of that nature, where we go, wait, we saw 10 penalties the day before with way less egregious hits, and here's this guy getting his head knocked out, and they're like, just suck it up and get up, son. No problem. You'll be okay. And that's what's annoying. Yeah, it's the screen pass to Herbert, guys. If we have that play, the guy took what? I'm going to say 2 extra steps. That's the thing that I thought was, it was egregiously late, led with the crown of his helmet. I know. So that's where it is all over the place and frustrating to what you're saying.
And I do think that even though the league has tried its best to voice support of what the officials are doing, and specifically it's the referee, the guy with the white hat who's making those decisions, they're human. They're human, and they hear the criticism, and I'm sure they have burner accounts where they check social media and see what's being said about them. They Google their names and see how they're being ripped here, there, and everywhere. You're going to be curious, what are people saying about me? And I think they may get a little gun shy.
I hope so. I hope they do.
About using the yellow flag.
I hope they do.
But then you get situations where
I know.
It looks
it's
pretty
all over
clear
the
that there was a foul. Not that it mattered they scored the touchdown,
right.
But they should have been kicking off from the 45 instead of the 30.
Yeah.
And who knows what that does. But the bottom line is it should be called when it happens. And it looked like it happened last night, and it wasn't called. And it just caused me to throw my hands in the air and say, I'm not even going to try to figure it out anymore. We'll just see if there's a flag on the ground. Yeah, right. If there's a flag on the ground, so be it. And if it looks like it's a bad call, we can huff and puff, but we ain't blowing anybody's house down. The Bears
Here's your play, though. There it is.
Last night, though. Here it is. Yeah, I mean, he got it from both sides, and it just looked like, right? You know it when you see it. It looked like something that should have drawn a foul. The way he got hit by 2 guys simultaneously, it felt like it should have been based on the standard that we now have. Of course, the standard we now have is every hit on a quarterback's a foul because it feels like every hit on a quarterback is a foul.
Yeah, it was a big-time shot. I mean, it really was. He took a tough one there. And again, as I'm watching it here in live, maybe my take is wrong. I mean, it's not wrong in the fact where I go, yes, we've seen like way, way less get called, but maybe it wasn't as late as I thought, watching in real time when they showed the replay of the hit. I thought it was a clear 2 steps maybe after he threw the football, but it's probably really only 1. As the more I look at it, I go, you know what, there's no problem with that. The problem, too, Mike, it's an all-out blitz. It's a screen pass, and they can't block everybody. And Dietrich Wise puts his hands up.
That helmet in the back.
So
the helmet
I know,
in the back,
that's a brutal
that
shot.
should have been a flag.
Yeah.
Helmet in the back. We've seen it before get called. You hit the quarterback with your helmet anywhere, you get
I guess that's
flag.
what could be called, right? Leading with the crown of the helmet.
Right there.
Yeah.
Helmet in the back. Yeah. And then it shoves him right into the face of another guy.
Yeah.
So
that was a big hit. Yep. That's a rough one. Honestly, I'm gonna say I hope they don't call those. I hope, but like you've said and like we're talking about here, we've seen way less called than on that one. And
but that's not a when in doubt. There should have been no doubt on that one. There should have been no doubt. You see the helmet go into the guy's back. That's when the flag needs to come out. And
I don't disagree.
I just think they're all discombobulated because they're getting criticized, and people can track them down. I don't know what kind of harassment they deal with. There's been stories in the past. I remember like somebody threw a brick through Pete Morelli's window after the playoff game between the Colts and the Steelers, where Morelli overturned a call of an interception by Troy Polamalu. The Steelers still won the damn game, and he lives in California, and the Steelers ran out there threw a brick through his window. You guys won the freaking game. What would you have done if you had lost? Burned his house down? So I think that there is a human element to it that may be affecting what some of these officials are doing. Why wouldn't that human element kick in? They're human beings. Until they have robots officiating games, that's kind of what you're dealing with, and that may explain why the NFL trotted out Troy Vincent 9 days ago onto the ESPN pregame show and has been saying we're not changing anything. Maybe they knew they had to say that to try to coax the officials to actually make the calls because they're sensitive to how much criticism there's been.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Yeah, I mean, again, like you said, they're humans, and I wish they would dial it back a little bit. Other than the helmet, leading with the head there, I'm okay with that. The more I watched it, I think I was a little misled by watching it so many times.
Other than the thing that violates the rules, it was a good play.
Well, again, I don't even think about that sometimes when the helmet doesn't hit the other guy in the head. I just go, okay, well, yeah, you're lowering yourself, you're coming in at full speed. I mean, sometimes
shoulder. We see it all the time now.
I got you.
We see it all the time now in the open field. Guys have learned. On the back end, they've adjusted when it's time to hit a defenseless receiver. You go shoulder. And also with that, it should have been a foul for lowering the head and making forcible contact with an opponent. Even if it's not roughing the passer, they missed that. Aren't they supposed to be sensitive to that? We hear that all the time.
Right,
We're trying to track what they're doing with their helmets and how they're using their helmets, and the helmets are involved, and we got to keep the helmets out. Helmet. It was a clear example. And that's another example of the benefit of having sky judge, booth umpire, whatever name they would want to use, because obviously they don't want to use a name somebody else came up with because then it doesn't look like their idea. Make up whatever name you want for that guy who would be watching and saying, hey, he just hit him right in his back with the top of his helmet. We should probably throw a flag on this play. So they have to find a sweet spot where they're not calling it when it isn't a foul, but they are calling it when it is. Great Bears defense last night. 4 turnovers forced. We'll talk about the sources of those turnovers, specifically the 2 quarterbacks who played for the Patriots.
Right.
Yeah, but Roquan Smith, I hope he gets his contract some way, somehow. He's got this idea that he's made this bet on himself and he's going to waltz right into free agency. I mean, the Bears may tag him next year. I don't know. Plays like this, he will tag him. And even if it's tag and trade. I mean, the guy was great last night. He's been great all year. He had 12 tackles, tackle for loss, defended a pass, had a sack and an interception. That's how you get paid if you can get to the market, but I don't think the Bears are going to let him get to the free and open market.
Well, no. I mean, they're crazy to let him go. He's as we said, Mike, and I was we were talking about this during the contract dispute during training camp. He's made for this defense. He's made for it. I mean, he's the Shaquille Leonard of the defense, except I think he's more physically gifted than Shaquille Leonard. And he's a bigger, more explosive, stronger man. And so that's where, for Chicago, for their sake, because I find myself kind of rooting for Matt Eberflus and Getsy and how they're kind of coaching their team, they're easy to root for. They're the kind of the underdog where you go, man, they're tough and hang in there every week, and they're detailed, and I respect that. And Roquan is really a heat-seeking missile that's perfect for this type of defense. So, yeah, I mean, I hope they can keep him. I'd be shocked if they let him go. They got some young talent, along with them that you start to get excited about. Whether it's, Gordon who had the interception or Brisker who had the interception. The kid Dominique Robinson, 91, he's a player. So there's a little nucleus of guys here to be excited about, let alone like you talked about. They're going to have money to play with next year. That's what they did. They're paying a lot of players that are not on their team right now. So they're kind of taking one for the team right now so they can build next year. But there's some things I think, to your point, that they're exciting, and Roquan is definitely one of the leaders in that category.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.